And we should now be live. Good evening, everybody. I'm just going to double check everything is working correctly. It is. Put some music on for us while we discuss things. Turn it down a little bit. That should be good, I think. Hello, Berenson. How are you doing today? I saw that you now own Subnautica, which is very cool. Now then, today I wanted to do something a bit different because I kind of need a bit of a break from just playing video games all the time. Hello, the Untamable King. And what I wanted to do is to look at Jurassic World Evolution 3 because I see a lot of various ideas that people have on Reddit, in Evo's comment sections, blah blah blah. Lots of people have various ideas, some realistic, some borderline not realistic. And what I wanted to do was kind of answer this question that I have, and I think a lot of you guys have, and I've seen it kind of buzzing around as well. And that is, what does Jurassic World Evolution 3 actually need to do to get us to buy it? Because I think there is a general feeling in the community that we're kind of a bit uncertain about what can they actually do to make it worth buying. So I'm hoping that today, with you guys helping me brainstorm it, we can figure that out. Now, so I've split our brainstorming area into 3 places: a general sort of gameplay section, a general sort of animal section, and a section just for anything random that doesn't quite fit into the other 2 categories. Now, one thing I do want to make a note of before we start: let's be realistic with our ideas. Based on Jurassic World Evolution 1, Jurassic World Evolution 2, let's be realistic in our ideas. What I'm going to do is we'll put everything in red are things from the elements from the previous games, things we think must absolutely 100% be there. And things that will be in green will be things that we think would make us buy it. Okay, so that's what we're going to do with the general layouts. So where shall we start? I'm opening it up to you, the floor. Where shall we start? And remember, we need realistic ideas. So more guest management is an easy improvement. So Brain, how do you see that playing out? And while you answer that question, I shall create a little offshoot for you on our diagram here. By the way, let me know if the music is too loud or too quiet. I am going to sort of alter the size of stuff. So this is basically going to be a green because this is an improvement, isn't it? We want this to be an improvement, so it's going to be green. Better guest management. Actually going to remove the glow effect from that. There we go. Oh, I spelled guest wrong. Where decorations improve the rating, for example. I see. So you want the environment that the park, like, if the park is nice looking, then your guests should be happier, for example. Which is, I think, JPOG had something similar. These lines are colossal. Can I not make them smaller? There we go. So let's just explain what we mean there. So guests should prefer better decorated parks, and rating should take decorations into account. I think that's good point, definitely. Jurassic World Evolution 3 really needs baby dinosaurs, says Berenson. Okay, Berenson, if you think the game needs baby dinosaurs, I want you to tell me how you think baby dinosaurs would improve the game. Better lagoon features. Okay, where can we lagoon features? I think we'll put this down with the building section, since well, actually, I mean, let's answer the first of that questions. Do people think the lagoons should stay? Because I think that's a really important first question. Do people think that the lagoons should remain? Yes, they should, but with improvements. Okay. So we've got kind of a red and a green here then. Because I have heard some people say that they should just remove the lagoons because they don't work, but... So, lagoons stay. But they need improvements. Oh wow, you're all very busy. I am trying to do my best to keep up. So do bear with me if I miss something you say. Do just post it again. I will try and keep up with you. Yeah, so I was about to say, what improvements do people think that the lagoons actually need? So let's have some general ideas. I'm going to put this in white since these are ideas for improvements. So lagoons should have filters. Lagoon filtering. Or cleanliness. See, I quite like that idea because, you know, anything that adds management, I think would be really good to have in the game. Underwater tunnels. I'm actually going to put this one in green. For me, I think underwater tunnels, it would be a really big sales feature for me, and I think it's something that they absolutely really should do. Can I change the color of the writing, please? Submarine tour. Bigger lagoon decorations. Yep, totally agree with all this. More outside interactions. Oh, more lagoon. So lagoon. I actually won't put that there because animations for the animals. That's something we would need to put down here when we're talking about the animals. So we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's stick with the building and gameplay section first. Terrain editing in the lagoons. Yeah. I'm actually going to include foliage brushes for the lagoons as well. I mean, I think all of those I'm going to put in green, because for me, they would be things I think we absolutely really do need for the lagoons. We'll talk, Andre, we'll talk about creatures and stuff in a minute. Let's stick to building and gameplay bits first. More interactions with the rest of your parks. Maybe asking for a bridge between land and water is a bit much, but what if your motor could beach itself? I don't know about that one, if I'm honest. I don't think it's realistic to have, like, because we're also trying to be realistic with this. Lagoons should be modifiable by terrain tools. Yeah, we've had that. Sarcastic paleontologist. They should use the same system as the fences, and it will fill with water once your senses is made a connected shape. So, Sarcastic, you think... I would agree. I don't necessarily think that system, but more shapes or different shapes of lagoon. Because I don't necessarily think having it like any shape we want is the best idea, but being able to build it in other shapes I think is a good one. They need to have a sense of humor with lagoon decorations. Sense of humor with them. I think that's a good point, actually. Like, I think that could apply to all of the decorations we have in the game. Actually, there's definitely, they definitely seem to verge on the more traditional, bland sort of decorations, ignoring the sort of various other possibilities we could have. Baby dinosaurs would give more variety to species. They would allow you to make actual family units instead of only having just adults. And it could allow for petting zoos to be possible. We'll come back to this, Berenson, when we go through the animals, because I'm not 100% convinced. More pre-feeding preferences for the... Again, we'll come... So we're talking just about gameplay here. So we're talking about the building element. Anything to do with animals we'll come to in a minute. It just makes it a little easier for me to stick to one area first. So the Untamable King says it needs to have attractions from the canon: the Jurassic World Raptor Paddock, T-Rex Kingdom, JP3 Aviary, Jungle River Cruise, Terratops Lodge. So I think we can put this as a general sort of we need more attractions. Which I would 100% agree with you there. Because the conventional sort of just tour-based ones, they're so boring. So we do need others. So let's go through. So you had the JP3 Aviary, the Jurassic World Raptor Paddock, JW Rex Paddock, Terratops Lodge, Jungle River Cruise. Yeah, I mean, I think those are all cruise. I think those are all good ideas. But, you know, any new decoration, new attractions would be, I think, really important. Rock spires and arches of various sizes. Yeah, I think that comes under better lagoon decorations, Gajira. Having to maintain your lagoon attractions like repairing cracked glass. So, yes, Liapi? Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. I do think that we need to have somewhere, and I think you have struck a chord with me here. So I'm going to do this. I do think the game needs to have more challenge / more danger, because at the moment I think it's too easy. There doesn't feel like there's enough chaos that happens. There should be more disasters. There needs to be more greater effects of animals on the park and your buildings. You know, there needs to be the sense that these animals can damage stuff, you know. Oh, blimey, there are so many ideas coming through. I am doing my best to try to keep up, trust me. Protesters, says King Gig. See, protesters, I think, are a good possibility, because I think Planet Zoo had protesters. The thing is, the guests, I don't see them changing how the guests work for a new game, if I'm honest. I think it would be too much time for them. Aviaries, balloon tour rides. Balloon tour ride, I like that idea. I'll put that in there. Expanded terrain similar to that of Planet Zoo. Campaign should be longer and better designed. Okay, Brent, I like... yes, let's add this to our mode section. So, obviously having a campaign is a returning feature. Let's spend some time talking about the campaign. Let's just talk about campaign for a minute. So, campaign... I think all of us can agree there should be a campaign mode. Would anyone disagree? Let's ask that general question before we go further. Because I know some people may not necessarily think... Hello, Evo. With one of the most unrealistic suggestions that people have often said. Okay, so I think people are generally agree that a campaign is necessary. So now the question is, so what do people think that campaign should look like? I suppose the question here is, do we want a campaign like Jurassic World Evolution 1's, where we move from area to area, map to map? Or do we want a campaign like Jurassic World Evolution 2, where it's very specific, sort of quite a linear, very specific, trying to build that narrative? JWE1 style campaign. Okay. So for those wanting a JWE1 style campaign, would having a JWE1 style campaign be something you would buy the game for? Like, if you think about Jurassic World Evolution 2, would you consider a better campaign really important? Okay, so it stays green. Anything more than JWE2. Okay. while we're talking about game modes, what about chaos theory? I'll be honest, I would be happy with chaos theory not returning. Kingy says nah. Burger says no. Goofy Goof says meh. Don't really know. Keep the idea but fix the scenarios. They need to be better. Okay. There seems to be a general mix of feelings here. Let me put in a hypothetical scenario. You can either have your Jurassic World Evolution style campaign or your chaos theory modes. You can't have both. So which to you is more important? A better campaign or the chaos theory modes? Brenson says he'd rather have the J1. That's so easy. The campaign. Okay, well let's go out on a thing and say no return of chaos theory. Put time into campaign. I mean, I think that's perfectly reasonable. Put any of the time you spent on that into the campaign. Obviously, I think we all want the sandbox mode to return, obviously. It kind of has to. So I think we can put that one straight away in. Just checking we got plenty of room there. A true Site B mode for Sandbox. So Site B I do want to talk about. I think we can put that in as new feature. We'll talk about Sandbox in a minute. I just want to talk about the other game modes. What about Challenge mode? Because that's the only other game mode we haven't mentioned yet. Now, I'll be honest. Challenge mode from JWE3 was one of the few things I enjoyed over the first game, because the challenge mode for JWE2 was really good. And here's the crux of it. I think the challenge mode for JWE2 was only good because challenge mode was basically more like the campaign. The Untamable King says challenge mode must die. Fuse current challenge and chaos theory into new challenge mode. See, I like that idea. All skins get access by specific star rating in campaign. I think... Okay, so this is a question we should answer about campaign. Because I think it's something that a lot of people discuss quite a bit. How do people think about the progression? So, JWE1, you had to go all the way through the campaign to unlock stuff for Sandbox. JWE2, they had that for the first month or so, and then they just unlock everything for everyone in Sandbox. So, the question for you guys is, do we want to still have a system where you have to unlock stuff in campaign? Or do we think that this time round The campaign should just release, you know, everything should be available to us in Sandbox from the start. So skins should be a reward. Uteraptor thinks that the campaign. Horror mode says right away. Because obviously if we are going to unlock everything for Sandbox players from the start, what is the reward for challenge mode? People who buy the game for Sandbox shouldn't have to play the campaign to unlock stuff. Okay, so progression, everything should be unlocked from the start. No usual frontier BS. That to me, I think, is really important. I'm going to put it in green. I think if they try and do the, oh, you're going to have to play campaign to unlock stuff thing again, I think there's going to be some complaints. So to me, that has to be in the green. So, challenge mode. Some ideas that came out here were combine chaos theory modes into it. We also had skin unlock still. Unique patterns for skins. Yeah, we'll talk about how we want the skin system and such to work with in the animals section. Because I want to kind of have a general discussion about how we think it should work. Decorations as unlockables for challenge mode, says the monster. Interesting. I'm going to add that one in. I definitely think there needs to be more unique rewards for doing the challenge modes, because sometimes the skins are just not very good. So I think something more than just skin unlocks would be is kind of vital. Maybe vehicle skins as a reward for campaigns and challenge mode. Again, I like that idea. Especially if you're, you know, going to base the vehicle skins off of, like, say you have a challenge mode which is based off of the San Diego Chaos Theory. It would be really good if then the vehicle skins were based off of the Lost World skins, for example. A gigantic pile of shit statue to celebrate Jurassic Park. I would prefer hybrids as rewards. That's a controversial idea. Very controversial. Since we're through the first half hour, let's switch to animals, because I think we have a lot to say about the animals. So let's start with a very simple question to begin with. Do we want all of the species we have right now returning? Is it necessary to have all of the species return? Yes, seems to. Okay, let's be a bit more open about it. The terrain-based animals, so dinosaurs and that, the land-based stuff. Every land-based animal must come back. So, you know, that also includes all the hybrids as well. Every current land-based animal. So, okay. Every current land-based animal must return. If the game did not have every current land-based animal, do you think that would be something that would put you off paying for the game? Like, if they admitted that they had cut the species numbers down a bit, yes, yes, no, no. So it seems kind of 50-50. Might be a deal breaker. It wouldn't be for me personally, but I can see why it is for some people. So, next up, same sort of question, but for the aviary species. Must every single aviary species come back? Because I'm not being funny, I can think of a few aviary species I would not care about if they disappeared. Yes, yes, all should return. More of a yes, because we have less. Yes, but if they don't walk, the game is not being brought. Interesting. But fix the wonky ones. Okay, so every aviary based. Is it a deal breaker though? So say they maybe got rid of Pterodactylus or Marodactylus or a couple, one here or there, a couple here or there, they don't return. But all the others have like the walking animations and stuff. Like, say they've been improved, but you get a couple that that will come later as a DLC or something. Is it a deal breaker to lose a couple, but the ones that remain get? Don't really want to pay for species we already paid for, as long as they're not canon species. I think that's fair. I think we'll put it here that the canon ones should return. I think the others could remain out of the game entirely or be brought back in free updates or whatever. Now this is the one I am most curious about, because I think people have very strong opinions about these. The lagoons. So same question. Do all the lagoon species need to come back that we have right now? Well, see, there seems to be some people who are going, well, actually, let's remake some of these. Give some of them updated designs like the Tylo and Plesio. Remove live product. King Giga! You should be blocked for saying something like that. Removing Liplorodon. I don't see the point in removing species. Redesign, sure, but removing is silly. So I'm thinking strictly in terms of how much time they have to develop things. Like, if we're giving time in one place, we're going to have to remove time from somewhere else. So, after all the work in socializing they did, And the list we did from yes. Okay, so I think the argument here is that every lagoon animal must come back, but some must be redesigned. If, say, the Elasmo, the Tylo, the Lipeurodon, if those animals were not redesigned, say they are identical as they are now, do you think that would be a bad thing? Is their redesigning vital to them coming back, in your opinions? Uteraptor says no. Not the worst. You'd prefer it not to be. It would be fine if it wasn't. It's fine. Okay, so some must be redesigned is more of a it would be better if. Ooh. Would be nice if some were redesigned. But it's not a deal breaker. Now, someone mentioned skins, so let's talk about skinning in the new features. I think we need to see some improvements. I didn't like Jurassic World 1's skin system. I think Jurassic World Evolution 2's is better, but I still think there needs to be some improvements. So, I'm happy with the basic idea that we kind of have like 12, is it 12? 12 main skin colors is okay. I think that element from JWE2 is perfectly acceptable. And I'm happy. I would be comfortable if that returned. I don't need like a hexadecimal based like massive color chart. I think those 12 main skin colors, you know, based off the fact that it will make their work easier, I think the current JWE2 system works. I do agree with what people are putting in here in chat though, that like ECATs and Liepi and such, we need more patterns. I fully agree there. I actually think that the patterns should not be dependent on the animal. I actually think every single animal should just have a choice between the same number of patterns to make it easy. How many different pattern variations do people think we need? I would be happy with 4. I think 4 pattern variations. Angelo says 6. 4 at the start. I think 4 at start is a good middle ground, Andre. 3 or 4. Yeah, stop the splodging. We should get stripes, spots, etc. Okay, so I think the general idea is around at least 4 patterns at day 1. More could be released in updates or challenge modes. Like, I wouldn't be against a challenge mode giving a dinosaur a unique pattern. So, next question. The ability to put or to choose the pattern on the animal, whether it's stripes, whether it's spots, whether it's splodges, etc. Is this a feature that would sell the game to you, or a feature that you think would just be nice to have? Like, is it a feature that would make a new game like a top? This is a seller for you, Liepi. Be much appreciated. Barga says no. Untamable says it's nice to have. Nice to have. Nice, but not going to fix game. Liam, thank you. I will call you Liam. Would definitely help, but won't sell the game in itself. Okay. We will leave it in white then. While we're on the subject of the skin system, someone mentioned something else. The Lux skins. So, question 1. Should Lux skins come back? And I don't mean for specific animals here, I just mean in general. Should Lux skins return? Yes. Okay. Is it a deal breaker if the Lux skins did not come back? So if there were no Lux skins at launch, would it stop you playing? Would it be a feature that you would say, you know, without them, it's not as good? You would be disappointed, Untamable. Monster says no. ECAT said it would be a big blow. So I think it's fair to say that for some of you, it would be a deal breaker. But not for all of you. So I'll put it in white because, you know, it's, you know, and potentially a bit of a deal breaker. Hello, TurboSol. If Lux skins do come back, how should they come back? Should every dinosaur have a Lux skin? Should it just be on the ones we currently have? Should it be an option to give every animal a Lux skin? Not every dinosaur should have a Lux. Untamable says an option for every dinosaur. I don't want Lux Rexes. At base launch, no. So at base launch, the Lux skins should be on the ones that we currently have. So at launch, we should have Lux patterns on the animals that have Lux patterns now. Is that what we're saying? I agree with you, Liam and Kairu, honestly. But, you know, we're trying to be... That's the minimum. So the minimum is to have Lux skins still on the animals that have them in JWE2. And I think I'm going to leave this in white because I think this is a feature that people are not massively dedicated on. I am also going to put here the other element. Would be nice if all animals had one Lux skin at least. Because I've seen that mentioned by a few people. And I am also going to put down here that it would also be nice for us to be able to change the color. To pick the color of the Lux. Because I do personally agree with that one. But these are not features that are massively... gonna sell a game, it seems. Definitely picking color. Now, someone did mention pterosaurs being able to walk. So let's talk about this, because I think this is a big... I think it's a really big controversy, I think, for a lot of us, that the pterosaurs at the moment cannot walk. So let's talk about this. Well, I'm going to say pterosaur, but I think that's limiting the aviary species down. So let's just say aviary species animations. And we'll do a thing for each animation idea. So, walking. If the pterosaurs come back to the game and they do not walk, is that a deal breaker? Like, if Jurassic World Evolution 3 has walking pterosaurs, does that make it more purchasable? Yes, yes, yes. I will be very put out, says Gajira, if it's not there. Yes, says Kairu. Ecat says yes. Okay, so walking is a major deal breaker. They must walk. I'm actually going to underline this one because this seems to be the one with the strongest general agreement from everyone. Social animations. Yes, let's talk about that as well. So, pterosaurs having social animations. Is social animations a must-have or a nice-to-have? Oh, I agree with you, Kyrie. They flap way too often. Bare minimum must-have. Must-have. All other animals have them. Okay. That's an interesting position, Burger. I mean, for me, it does matter because the animals have to be, you know, realistic in some respects. I mean, given that all the other animals in the game have socials, I think it's necessary for the pterosaurs to have social animations. I think if it was day one and they didn't have social animations, but they were walking, I would be okay with that. It's not a deal breaker for me whether they have social animations on launch or not, if there's walking animations. If there's no walking animations and no social animations, we have a problem, I would argue. I'm going to put that down here as well as a little offshoot. We have to have at least one of those two on launch. We must have at least one. And I'm going to put it in green. This is something that's it must be there. I think somebody said something in new features about expanding the foods. I can't remember who it was, but I do remember someone mentioning that all the animals in the game need like a wider diet. Andre, so do you mean all the animals in question, or are you talking about a specific group? Because Gajira's just mentioned changing the diets to Dimorphodon and Tapejara as well. And Quetz. Okay, so I think this is a feature that generally people want for all of the animals in game. So let's do it as its own thing. So expanding animal diets. Is this a... would be good to have it? Or is it a deal breaker? So, you know, the fact that Tapejara eats fish rather than fruits and stuff, the fact that Dimorphodon eats meat but doesn't eat from the insect feeders, the fact that things like ornithomimids don't eat from the insect feeders, is it really important or just a really nice to have? Day one, remember, we're only talking about day one here. Obviously, some of these features could be patched in later. We're talking about day one, you know, you literally, the game comes out, the instant day one experience. Burger couldn't care less. So I think it's safe to say this, I think it's a would be nice thing to have, I think. More animals should be able to eat from a wider variety of feeders and have more realistic mixed diets. Something nice to have. I mean, I honestly thought it's a shame that in JWE2 we don't have more animals eating from the insect feeders. Especially when we have so many animals that would eat from them naturally. She-Man Man-She says, bring back the plant feeders. Let's go back up to then building, since that's where we're going to be talking about it. So, animal feeding. Let's put this in white. So, She-Man Man-She. Having the old feeders back, is it... would it be nice to have it back, or is it for you really important to have the plant feeders back? Planet feeders, whoops. Is it really important? I mean, what do people in general think about the plant feeders? Do we feel that they're missing from JWE2? Have we missed them in JWE2? Paleo feeder, yes. Generic, no. Gajira prefers the current feeding method. Just the tool feeders. The option is good. So having the option, you know, it would be a nice option, but it's not one of those that we think is massively important. What about the meat feeders? Now, for me, I really, really, really want to have something more than goats. In fact, for me, I think it's... I would say that it's a necessity. I'm going to put it in green. I think it's completely unrealistic that every single carnivore eats goats and is perfectly acceptable. And I actually think the meat-eating animals themselves need to have greater... So related to this, meat-eating animals need to have a paleobotany-like system that applies to them. Now, obviously, I don't mean as in they have preferred ancient animals they like, although that is probably also the case. But I mean, you know, meat eaters should prefer, or maybe there's one that prefers beef, or one that prefers bones, or one that prefers, you know, chicken flesh, stuff like that. There needs to be something similar that the plant eaters have in terms of their preferences to the meat eating ones. And for me, I think it's a deal breaker for me. If the meat feeders don't do more than just goats, I think it's important for me that the meat feeders have a better diet, so to say. So that to me is a deal breaker. Yeah, I agree, She-Man Manshi. I mean, the lagoon, I'm kind of like the lagoon guru. I focus so much on the lagoons. I've made so many videos about them as well. We did list down some improvements to the lagoons a little bit ago. Shall we actually, since we've done the lagoons, the aviaries. Let's actually, let's move things out of the way a bit. So the aviaries as they are now, do people like them? Like, I suppose, like I'm asking with the, can I move? Can I move that? Thank you. Do the aviaries work for people at the moment? Or do people think we need a different system? Yes, but need improvements. Need to be taller and stop being so intangible. Okay, so I think we can generally say that the lagoons stay. But a bit like the lagoons, there's a lot of improvements that we need to have. So, aviaries. Aviaries stay. Need improvements. So, do we think the aviaries need as many improvements as the lagoons? Like, again, thinking about what's a deal breaker for the next game. If the aviaries stay the same, would we be disappointed? Or would we be as disappointed if the lagoons stayed the same? Like, so which of the two is most in need of improvement? And is it a deal breaker that improvement happens? Kairu says they should be treated equally. Jaden says lagoons need a lot of work. Should be equally fixed. Okay. Lagoons need more work at the moment. That's true. Again, it's difficult to know for sure. Okay, so if we're saying there needs to be improvements for the aviaries, let's have some improvement ideas. How can the... I mean, I've got one here. So, aviary paths / caged walkways should be buildable inside. that would be something nice to have. I don't think it's massively necessary. Taller. So I think the height is some... We should have variable height. I actually think I'm going to put that one in green. I think it's necessary if we have something like wets. We have absolutely got to have variable height. Higher rocks. That's more of I mean, I would say that having more elaborate rock features is kind of a general... It would be nice to have as a general decoration item. But I mean, I suppose more aviary specific decorations would be nice to have, because at the moment it feels like we kind of rely on the stuff we have everywhere else to decorate them. A pigeon feeder. Oh, so ECADS, you're thinking like there needs to be like a live food feeder for the aviaries? Because at the moment it's either fish or the meat. You would like something like a live feeder so that they could like catch stuff on the wing, essentially. Quite like that idea. A live feeder for flyers. I do like that idea. Let's talk about gameplay for a sec, because there's something I want to bring up here. Let's just arrange it. So, and I think this is one of the most controversial systems. The scientist system from JWE2. Should it come back? And I don't mean should it come back in the form that we have now. Should a system around staff be in the game? Kairu says that we need more staff besides the scientists, so it does need to be reworked. Delete the system as it is, says King Giga. Like it, but there needs to be more to do. So there seems to be a general gist that it should come back, but there does need to be some substantial reworking. I'm gonna make this one dotted because I think it's safe to say that if it's not reworked, it's a deal breaker. Must be reworked. Deal breaker. So let's have ideas for the reworking. I think someone's already had one good idea. That is more stuff, and that's exactly what I would do. Whoops. So more staff varieties with more jobs to do. Definitely agree with that. Any other suggestions of improvements? So a staff system like Planet Zoo. So use Planet Zoo as inspiration. Overall, we need more things to manage. Exactly. And more types like maintenance and sanitary. So let's put that down, like maintenance, sanitary, paleontologist, someone mentioned. We can make workers actually appear in the overworld. Maybe your name, maybe names, and maybe they can even get killed off. A staff system is horrible. It's hard to make good money in a game where you pay thousands of fossils, which you may not even get, says King Giga. I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying there. It's not hard to make money in JWE3. It is easy. In JWE2, it's easy. In fact, I would say it's too easy to make money. Oh, all staff can use flare guns and tranquilizer guns. Able to assign specific staff members to buildings to enhance the building. Make staff assignable like a building upgrade. I like all those. I think there are definitely some that I would have as white. I mean, I think I would have that as white. I think it doesn't have to be exactly the same as Planet Zoos, but I think having more staff variety is really important for me. Just having a look at chat. Oh, storms are more than... Right, storms. I'm glad someone has mentioned this. I'm going to put that in... because we've already mentioned about having more disasters and a greater effect. I think storms should definitely be mentioned here. Tornadoes should actually be a problem. They should kill guests, dinosaurs, etc., and be serious incidents. I'm actually going to have that as green as well. For me, that's important. I really hate the idea that your park can be hit by a tornado, and apart from it blowing down a few fences and damaging a few buildings, your guests were fine and your dinosaurs were fine. They would just walk through it. And I think it's in massive break of realism. Like, I don't think I've ever used the bunkers when a park tornado hits. I just don't care. I just leave the park open. So there's no point having stuff like bunkers if disasters aren't dangerous enough to use them. So, yeah, that's definitely important for me. Someone's just reminded me of a new feature that I think we should have in gameplay. And I'm going to have it in white because I don't think it's a deal breaker. I think it's something I would like to see. I want to see educational aspects to the game. And I don't necessarily mean our education. What I mean by that is things like educational boards for dinosaur enclosures or that sort of thing, or like being able to have experts, staff talking about them, like educational dinosaur boards, staff expert lectures, etc. It's not a necessity, and I don't think it would be a deal breaker if it wasn't there, but I do think it would be nice to have some sort of, you know, educational aspect into this, like Planet Zoo, like Zoo Tycoon, because I do think it would be nice to have more of that in the parks. Because at the moment, the park kind of feels like you stick a dinosaur in an enclosure and people go and look at the dinosaur, but that's it. They don't learn about the dinosaur. And a vital part of every zoo and animal place here, at least in the UK, is there's always people around talking about them, doing talks on the animals. There's always educational stuff around. Because the whole point of these places is not just to use the animals, not just to see the animal, you're supposed to learn about the animal. So some sort of educational, decorative elements, I think, are much, much better, much more important. They could make you research more of the dinosaur to get more education for the guest. Yeah. Obviously there are all sorts of ways you could implement it into gameplay, but however it's done, I would like it to be there, basically. Expand on the building system. No individual building elements must at least have both. Add more styles to the existing system. What do you mean by no individual building elements, Jaden? I'm a little puzzled by that one. They have PA announcements about the animals, but that's it. Yeah, but those PA announcements only like occur the first time you release one from a hatchery. It would be nice to be able to have like a speaker that plays them when you go near. Because, like, they have those little lines in the tour vehicles, don't they? Like when you drive near to a dinosaur, they'll give you like a random fact or something about them. Why can't we have like a speaker that plays that we can put down near an enclosure? Educational features add to guest appeal. And make it important for park rating and guest appeal. Yeah, so it should be quite integrated. More punishments for guests dying. So yeah, that I think we can put that into challenge, can't we? No, not that's the wrong challenge. Gameplay. So more challenge. Guest deaths and injuries should be more serious and have greater effect. I agree with you there. Costs should be higher. Because at the moment you lose like 100 guests and you barely lose any money at all. Hello, Neron. Oh, the prehistoric kingdom style of making buildings. Right, so no modular building system. Right, yeah, okay. So let's actually put this in here. because I've seen a lot of people on Reddit be like, "Oh, we need modular building," and it's like, have you guys ever played a modular building game before in your lives? No, just no. Keep the building as it is. No modular building. Keep the current methods of building with era sets, etc. That is just the way it should be. No modular building. Maybe electric fences could be stronger during the rain because it conducts electricity. I love that idea, personally. How could we make the hurricanes more dangerous in a way that's different from the tornadoes? Well, I think that would be sort of included here where we've got like more disasters. So like there are so many other types of sort of general smaller disaster ideas that the games don't use that I think would be kind of cool to see. So like have fires, flooding, random like landslides / terrain changes, really catastrophic blizzards and sandstorms. Like, and actually this reminds me of something else I wanted to put into the gameplay section. Actually, I think the weather needs to be changed. I'm going to put it as a white because it's not a deal breaker for me. Well, actually, let's just have a new thing for biomes because this comes under biomes in general. Biomes. I think it's safe to say the biomes, I think we all want to come back because I think that's, again, one of the improvements that the second game introduced compared to the first. I think the biomes are a good idea. Do people agree? Like, you know. Oh, Andre, modular building is sort of what Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo and Prehistoric Kingdoms building style is, where you literally have to build everything using parts. And you have very few pre-built buildings. It's how Planet Zoo works, essentially. Variable water depth. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, so biomes, I think people are in agreement were a good thing. Let's have them back. Let's actually spend a little bit of time talking about biomes. So, types of biome. So I think the alpine biome coming back is fine. I think the desert biome coming back is fine. I think the European style is fine, or it's not called European, is it? It's called temperate. Temperate. Those are all returning. I do think we need, so I'm going to put this in green because I think, you know, it's nice to have it. Savanna as a biome type. Someone did say swamp or bog as a type. Oh, wetlands. Well, let's just call it wetlands, as swamp is such a... Wetlands is a far more scientific name for it. Any other types of biome that people think? Yeah, so dinosaurs digging under the fence. We'll spend the last half hour talking about animations for animals. That's what we'll spend the last half hour on. Savanna and wetlands, swamp, savanna, mountains. Coastal. Coastal, I think, is a good biome possibility. Because that genuinely is a biome. So I'm going to put it down here as a general point. So this is the general point I was actually thinking about before we got here. I think the weathers need to be more spread out. Because in Europe, like the UK map, the Germany map, you don't get snow, but we have snow here. Like we do get snow. So I think maps need to have a greater variety of weather. And actually, something else I think, again, would be nice to have as a new feature, but I don't think is necessarily vital. Well, I say dinosaurs. Animals should have different behaviors or act differently based on the weather. Jurassic Park Operation Genesis would make your animals drink more and eat less in heat waves, for example. And I think we need something similar in JWE3. Like, the weather should influence the behavior of the animals. Oh, mangrove forest as a biome. It's kind of coastal. Let's put it in mangrove with coastal. Era sets being styles, not individual buildings, tabs on the menu. Cherry grows. Well, that would be specific places. Building sets. Let's discuss building sets, as that was mentioned there. / eras. So I think it's safe to say that we all want the sort of Jurassic Park and Jurassic World stuff back. I don't think anyone... JP era and JW era should definitely come back. I think that's the two basic ones that we should definitely have. What about... So Kairu thinks all the current ones should return. I'm not particularly fond of the DFW. I'm not massively fond of the Biosim. I'm not massively fond of the Malta sets. We should get the Malta back because the new movie will be set in Malta. Well, we know they're filming some part of it in Malta. We don't know how much of the movie is taking place there. Berenson would want the Dominion set back. Okay. Are any of the other building sets, you know, it would be nice to have them back? Or is it we must have them back? So keep all the eras we have and then expand on them so they're full sets. I mean, that's definitely the one reason I don't tend to use the others. I think I will add that next to this. And I think I'm going to put it in green because I think if they are going to come back, must be full sets with unique buildings. No more of this, oh, well, the Malta and Biosyn sets make use of DFW stuff as well. They should be full, complete sets with their own unique buildings, 100%. Yeah, I think I would agree, Mutto. I think it's Mutosaurus, sorry. I think it's logical to have them back, but I would only want them back if they're going to be completed. I don't want them to come back as they are now, kind of like half and half. I think that's really crappy, to be honest. I'm going to put this down here because this is just something I want, and it's kind of a deal breaker for me. Needs to be another new tourist focused building set. And what I mean by that is obviously the Malta Biosyn DFW, they are very facility set. We only have 2 sets that are kind of touristy focused. There must be in the new game a new set. If they're going to have Malta and Biosyn, there must be another new set that is focused on tourist. You know, something that you could build more of a zoo with than a facility with. Malta, yeah, there are elements that are kind of one thing, elements that are another. But I think overall I would classify Malta as more of a facility set than a touristy focused one. Well, a Lockwood Manor theme, like Gothic castles and stuff, King Giga. I think that would be pretty cool, actually. Anything else I think is really vital under gameplay for the moment? Nothing that immediately springs to mind right now. Right, let's talk about animals and animations. And I'm going to give this its own little thing here, because I actually think it's one of the I think it's one of the most important parts of the game that needs to actually be improved. So I'm going to give it its own little special tag. Overhaul animation. I think it's really important that this be done. The animation that we have at the moment is pretty piss poor. So, let's have some... So, pterosaurs should be able to walk. I think we've already put that under aviary species animations, like walking. So let's just have some general green statements, you know, things that we think are really important. All animals must have social animations. I think that's important. I think every animal should have a social animation. I know we said up here we could make do without it being for a pterosaurs at launch, but at the same time, I'm like, I really don't see why you couldn't do it for launch and have them walk. So all animals must have social animations. I think that's important. Oh, the crab walk, yeah. So crab walking / the moon walking / awkward swimming animations and flight animations need cleaning up. Totally agree there. I think the way that some of these animals move is really awful. We need unique killing and hunting animations. At least 2 different social animations for animals. So let's have a new thing here, and let's do this one. So these are, instead of things that we think are important, these are things that would be nice. So we'll put these in white. So at least 2 different, I mean, I would go more than 2, but at least 2 different socializing animations. Unique hunting and killing animations. Too many are copy pasted. Pack hunting for more animals. For flyers and swimmers. More randomization, so more idle animations. Some more idle animations. Do agree with you there, Neron. Sauropods can defend themselves. Right, so I'm glad someone's mentioned this. Sauropods being able to defend themselves. Is that it would be nice to have, or it's important? Is it a deal breaker? Because I've seen it mentioned everywhere. Like sauropods being able to defend themselves. I've seen it on everybody's list when they talk about JWE3. Is it one of those vital things? It's really important. Defending. So every animal should be able to defend itself. Every animal, including sauropods and hadrosaurs, should be able to defend themselves. Is that a deal breaker for you guys? If sauropods did not defend themselves in JWE3, would that be a bother for you? Kyra is immediately yes. Ecats is a yes. No, but it would be really disappointing. That does sound like it's a deal breaker then for you, Gajira. Like, imagine if the game launched, there's your Ankylodocus, but it still doesn't defend itself. It's kind of a grey area for me. I would like it, but if there isn't even that, what else would they not add? Interesting. So some people are like, it's really, really important. Others are not so. So I'm going to put it in white because it's a deal breaker for some people. At the very least, Ankylodocus should defend itself. I agree. Something I'm going to put here in the it would be nice is More intraspecies or interspecies animations. I would like to see more animations between different animals. Now, at the moment, we have like the Ankylodocus and Ankylosaurus have an animation, and the hybrids in general have animations with their similars. If there were more examples of that, so we would see more interactions between mixed pack enclosures, that would be nice, I think. Not a deal breaker for me, because it would be quite difficult, but it would be nice. Dinos, when they fight, should have at least 2 different ways of attacking or hunting, like biting and slashing. Ah! Yes, I'm glad someone has mentioned that bit. I think this has to go in the important get rid of the circle around each other thing. That, for me, is really important. Because that animation is so dumb. Better maps, says Cameron. What do you mean by better? Like, what is the problem with the maps as they are now? Actually, there's quite a few things we can talk about when it comes to maps. Do people want all of the maps from the second game to return? Because I know I've always found it a bit weird that the maps from the first game haven't come back. So, no. Would we be happy with completely new maps? Or do we want a return of some of the maps? I want all of the new maps back. Kyra would be okay with brand new ones. Both first and second game maps back. More diversity in the maps. Only the movie ones, really. Maybe Sierra Nevada. Maybe some. Return of the Islands. Okay. So there's quite a lot of variation of opinion there. Quite a lot of varied opinion. JWE, so it would be nice to have all maps from JWE1 and all maps from JWE2 would be nice to have. I think, you know, for most people it would be nice to have them, but it's not necessarily important. Having new maps is okay too. Someone did also say we could have or return just the movie maps. So, you know, there's a lot of variation in possibility there. I do agree that someone said, where was that? Navi said that the maps need to be more varied. I agree with that totally. More variation in maps in terms of terrain, biome, weather, etc. Like, because there are some maps where I feel like you could have more than one biome on these. So, maps with a greater variety I think is also would be yeah, I think it would be nice to have. I'm not going to say it's important to have. Oh, natural lagoon maps. The natural lagoon maps are controversial, I think. I think we can almost talk about them as their own separate thing, really. Natural lagoon maps. I hate them, if I'm honest. But I don't hate them because they're natural lagoons. I hate them because of how they're implemented. I think if natural lagoon maps were going to come back, I think we need changes to how the lagoons work to make them better. Like we have to have those bigger lagoon decorations, the lagoon terrain brushes. Like if we are going to have the better lagoons, which I think we were talking about here. Like, if we had all these better lagoon features, I would say that the natural lagoon maps would be nice to have them back, but only if those changes were made. So I'm going to put an asterisk there. If they make changes to general lagoon gameplay. If they just stay as they are now, I won't use them still, and I don't think they'll be any better. Abandoned buildings like in the movies. Well, we kind of have that now. We have the abandoned. We can make buildings look damaged. So we kind of already have that. I don't want the natural lagoon to compromise on the actual map itself. Frontier relied that people will play on the map solely on that new feature. I think that's yeah, I think that's worthwhile adding here. Natural lagoon maps should be more than just the natural lagoon. Because that's one of the biggest problems with the current natural lagoon map. It's literally just that, and you get a little bit of space for building at the top, but that's about it. And it feels like they kind of assumed we'd make massive amounts of the lagoon. ECATS, that's already currently in the game. So I suppose we can have it as a returning feature. Keep ability to manually damage buildings. I mean, I don't use it because I use Kyodenic's system for it, but it's nice for people who aren't modding to be able to do it. Ah, not console gamers. Well, we haven't gone near that that discussion yet. How about more different walking paths for different maps? Do you mean more variety in in path colors? Is that what you mean, Cameron? Yes. Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm going to put it in here with the building eras. I'm going to put it in white because it's not a massive necessity for me. But it would definitely be nice to have more variation in path color and pattern. Would be nice to have, like, maybe also link that into like the era. Yeah, maybe have some specific paths for specific time periods, or even have like some specific paths for specific biomes. Like, there's a lot of variation there. Should not release for past gen consoles and maybe release a higher quality version of the game when the next gen console releases and maximize the opportunities from the next gen consoles. Yeah, I think we have to put this down here with our general thing here. Our first one to put down here, actually. So we'll put this in other. I mean, I don't think that they would still do it for last gen, but remove last generation. So this is PS4, etc. versions. Only focus on current and PC. Have HQ upgrades for next gen and high fidelity PCs. I agree. Yeah, I know it's going to cut down the player base. Whoops. I didn't know you could do that. Huh. I know it's going to cut down the player base, but the simple fact is the games are being held back by last gen consoles. There's so many elements that are being held back. So I think we need to get rid of that. Miss Archaeopteryx wonders if the game is going to be filled with Frontier's usual crap again. Keep dinosaurs in the aviary. Yeah, I think there's no reason why not. So let's have this put down. We should be able to have mixed aviaries with land-based animals inside them. I think, you know, it's not a deal breaker for me if it's not there, but it would definitely be nice to have. Oh, hello, Lima. No, Cabot Finch in the campaign. I think we'll put this in the something else under gameplay. And I suppose it's only going to be a real big problem if they bring back things like Chaos Theory mode. So bring back more of the original cast. Like, where is Sarah Harding, for example? Ludlow, for example. Tembo, for example. Any other ideas? Ray Arnold, Dennis Nedry. Like, if we're going to have, if we are having chaos theories, etc., in those times, like if we're going to have that sort of thing, I want more of these cast members back. Like, I'm kind of sick of seeing Cabot Finch and flipping all these other invented random characters. I'm playing a Jurassic Park game. I want to be doing it with the Jurassic Park characters, you know. Eric Kirby. I think a biodome could work for having land animals in an indoor enclosure. Yeah, so maybe instead of aviaries, they would just have generic domes. The water system. Ah, right, okay. Let's put this under as a new feature. Yeah, the way that the terrain tools work in general, I think the terrain tool system has to be improved. I think that's definitely a necessity, because they've had 2 games now where the terrain tools have been identical, and there's been problems with them every time. So for water, so water depth, I'm going to put a question mark. I just don't think it's likely. I don't think the water system will be identical to Planet Zoo's. I just don't think a depth modifier is likely. But, you know, ability to make waterfalls would be nice. Or, you know, placeable decoration. Along with, oh, small fences. Okay, definitely small fences. Let's put this under, I'm actually going to say it's green for me. It's like, we have to have some small fences for God's sake. Small fences. There must be small fencing, for heaven's sake. I think there should be lagoon ramps for semi-aquatic animals to climb up onto land, if you can modify the terrain in the lagoon. Of course, if you have modifiable water depth, you would kind of need those ramps probably anyway. It's difficult to know. I don't think they would use the Planet Zoo system, simply because the Planet Zoo and Coaster system was there for JWE1 and they didn't use it there. And then they didn't use it again for JWE2, so I don't see them using it for JWE3. You hold space where you get a nice overview of each guest or dinosaur's emotions. Gives guest personality. Guest personality is one of those things we didn't get to. I did mean to mention it earlier. I mean, we had better guest management here. So let's just quickly add this. I'm going to add it in white because I don't think it's a deal breaker, but I think it would be nice. Guests should have moods. And we should be able to see them. Guests should be more than just a particle effect. I'll put in brackets here JPOG, because, you know, JPOG system was perfectly fine. There should be smaller exhibits for things like Compies and Sinosauropteryx. Ah. Yes, okay. Where can we put this? I think we can put it in here under animals. Again, I don't think it's a deal breaker. It's going to be something else I think I'm going to put in, as it would be nice to have a better way of displaying, viewing, and containing smaller species. And then expand the smaller species roster as a result. Mini aquariums, for example. Yeah, I do properly agree with that. It would be nice to have some way of displaying them better. UI as a whole should be reworked. Going into different menus is exhausting. If we don't get reasonably sized toilets and concession stands next game, I'm going to be really annoyed. Well, Miss Archcrix, I'd go one step further and say, for heaven's sake, let the hotels and shops have toilets in them. Yes, we should have toilets as a placeable building, but for heaven's sake, hotels also have toilets. It's unreasonable for them to not have them. That's a good point, says Berenson. Could have handlers to show the guests. So we've already spoken about that, Lima. We did speak about an educational aspect. So having people do staff lectures and stuff, because I think that is something that's definitely missing, and it would be nice to see some element of it come in JWE3. I mean, I'm actually going to stop the music now just so I can talk to you guys a bit easier. Like, looking at all the things we got here, there's obviously a lot of features we would like, and a lot of features we think should return, but there's also a lot of green. There's an awful lot of green, and there is a few deal breakers here for us, isn't there? Like, I think the lagoon needing improvements, I think, is a bit of a deal breaker for us. I think we had a couple of others, didn't we? Reworking to the scientist system is a deal breaker for us. A JWE1 style campaign or some sort of better campaign was pretty important to people. Every land-based animal at the moment might be a deal breaker for some. Pterosaurs being able to walk was a bit of a deal breaker for people. There was a lot of interesting things that people like wouldn't buy the game if they don't do, which is nice to see. It's nice to see people being a little less sort of hyper and more, you know, there actually does have to be some genuine improvements for this. We didn't get on to talking about like whether we would want mammals in the game or anything yet, because in 2 hours we did kind of, there was a lot of focus on the gameplay, which was also really good. Because I think one thing that I think something that I don't like whenever people do something like this sort of discussion is that you get people that just be like, oh, I want this species and this species and this species and this species. And it's like dinosaurs and other animals, they're only a very small part of this game. The gameplay is the major bit. It's the bit that is the bread, is the meat of the sandwich. The dinosaurs are just nice to have. If the gameplay is bad, you can have as many species as you like. It won't make the game better. So it's nice to see people here in this stream really talking about the gameplay. And yes, Berenton, it's been really funny for me just seeing on Reddit how many people are screaming in joy over there appearing to be kelp, finally, in the lagoons. Like, no one is that interested in the obvious megalodon. People are more interested in the kelp. There's so much kelp hype. There's been some really fantastic memes come out of this as well, which it's really nice to see. We are the only community that freaks out over kelp, which is good. I hope. So obviously I already have a kelp mod. I am going to be kind of comparing the mod kelp to the Frontiers kelp to see who has done the kelp better, because I have this fear that Frontier have done the kelp like they've done all the other lagoon decorations, where it's small and like one, you have to place like a ton of them for it to look good, whereas the mod has a kelp that like goes for a big group of kelp, which looks more natural and realistic. So I am definitely going to be comparing modded kelp to in-game kelp to decide who I think has done kelp better, as a little bit of a playful exercise. Yes, let's hope Frontier does notice the freaking out over kelp so that they know this is the sort of thing we want more of in the next game. But yeah, we are up to the end of the stream now. I want to thank, it's been a really busy, really active stream. I want to thank everyone for popping in. Obviously, I only wanted to do this because, you know, I just wanted a bit of a break from gaming. Next week we'll be back on, well, we don't know, because we don't know what's going to happen. We could get the trailer for the new DLC. We could get an announcement for JWE3. The next DLC could drop and we suddenly have new stuff to play with. So I'm not sure what next week's streams may be. Naturally, when the next DLC does come, I'll be doing a stream for it like I always do. So if it comes out in the week, expect a stream in the week. And yeah, we'll play it by ear, and we'll do some, I know some people were gutted about not seeing Subnautica again, so maybe I'll do another Subnautica stream on Wednesday like I did this week. I'll ask people what they would like. But yeah, thank you for everyone being really active. Don't forget to like the stream, subscribe if you're new to the channel, join the Discord if you haven't already, and I will see you folks in the next video. Until then, wherever you are, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, stay safe, and good night.